Welcome to the Redvee TV Instant Fan Reaction. That's not the Instant Fan Reaction, it's the Redvee TV show instead. Supported by
Yeah.
Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. Now, listen, don't get used to this. We are literally filming this because this is the only time that we had, and it just so happens to be Saturday afternoon after watching England get tonked.
Yes. Yeah. This isn't happening next week after the Everton test, and it's not happening after Headingley either.
No, if you want to,
Unless,
unless you want
well,
a live version and you find us in a pub.
yeah, I was going to say it's definitely not happening after Everton because we are going to the game and we are not doing an instant fan reaction. We're not taking any paraphernalia with us to do it.
Absolutely. And also, after next week, the series will be over anyway, so no one wants to comment on a dead rubber.
Yeah, you can see our thoughts on social media, can't you?
Yes. Anyway, before we get into that talk, Kevin, I think we better start off with our own little milestone instead.
Less of the little with this milestone as well, David.
Well, we are very ecstatic to announce that Redvee
Sound.
TV, you've ruined me build up. Redvee TV has hit 250,000 views in 2025. We have smashed through our previous record with 2 months of the year to spare. Let's give up, Kev.
You know what? I think it's the first of all, big thanks is to everyone who watches us. Whether you agree, disagree, you comment, you don't, you keep you kind of powder dry and whatever. But the fact that we've had so many views and hit records, it could be down to the fact that
Crap.
we've not had the greatest of years, not had the greatest of years, but we do appreciate every single one of you for watching. And I have checked, and I can confirm that 245,000 of those aren't just my mum.
Yeah. Uh, 3,600 subscribers. We've added over 500 new subscribers this year. Probably opposition fans just wanting to watch us melt down. But all in all, yeah, it's been a wow of a year. And we're very quickly, Kev, um, closing in on 1.5 million views for all
Yes,
time.
well, yeah, for the lifetime of the channel. Um,
The question is, will we get there before Christmas? Stay tuned on how much we can be bothered recording.
yeah, there's your issue. There's your issue. Well,
Yes.
we need news for us to record. So we need Saints to start announcing some new signings. Because I'm sure we'll do stuff about other little bits that'll come out, kits and whatever. But yeah, we need some new signings to get our teeth into.
Some might say, Kev, that the reason the club have back-ended all of the news about the re-signings is so we can melt down at the end of the year and talk about something in the off-season.
Yes, yeah, good on them for doing so as well.
Um, but yeah, before we go on any further, I do want to thank everyone who watches, who subscribes, who catches up with us outside the ground for a quick chat, leaves their comments in the comment section here on YouTube. We do read every single one. We do delete the occasional one because I don't like you. Do you know what?
Self-edited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not often, but if you wind me up, I'll probably come on here and have a go back. We'll chip away.
yeah.
Because guess what? We are sensitive souls. But yeah, everyone who subscribes, including our little friend Dexter Mullins, thank you very much. We do appreciate the love for Red V. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, should
I
we
think
move
we'll
on?
just have to get. I think you'll have to get your dog on more because that might push the subscribers and the viewers up.
Do you know what? Why on earth did I not get a brood dog reference in?
Yeah, poor from you. That poor.
Very poor.
Top
Very, very
season.
poor. Anyway, we will move on. Right. Full time in the first test at Wembley Stadium in front of 60,000 people. Australia defeat England 26 points to 6. Aided and abetted with a fantastic refereeing performance from Liam Moore in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds salty, but the first try from Australia, how they've missed that forward pass, it just beggars belief when you're on that stage. And I know that people start going, well, he's out there doing it, and you need to stand in his shoes before you start criticising. But that's when you're at the top of your game and you pick for games like this. That's the stuff that you should be picking up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost for me all the chatter in the week about the controversy of him gifting Wigan a World Cup challenge over Penrith. He's almost is that got into his head, and he's almost overcompensated for Australia, and basically it felt like everything went their way. Any little decision went their way. Like even and listen, I'll chuck Jack Smith under the bus here as well. That captain's challenge when Bateman's touched the fella's head. Yeah, he's touched his head as he's playing the ball, but he only touches his head after the fella has put the ball on the floor and took his hands off it.
I don't. All that being said, I don't think we've lost that game because of
Oh no,
officiating.
no, but it winds me up that the Australians do not need any sort of helping hand in a game.
And
And
we
do you know
do,
what?
yeah.
If they've awarded the captain's challenge for interference at the play of the ball, then Mikey Lewis, despite hanging himself out for it, was interfered with in the build-up to the try as well before the forward pass. At the end of the day, he's still made contact. He's running the line and he's made contact and he's stopped Mikey Lewis getting over to make the tackle, even though he's done a little bit of a swan dive.
Well, he's done that before this season as well, hasn't he? So, yeah.
And then the penalty on the stroke of half time, I think James Graham summed it up when he said, Liam Moore, you do realise you're English, don't you?
You're in
Some,
England,
it
yeah,
was something along those lines. Let me find out. I did quote Tweety. Liam
yeah.
Moore knows he's in, no, sorry. Liam Moore knows he's in England, right? So I think we can safely guess what James Graham's views are on the refereeing performance. But then they pooped the bed second half, and
oh, we absolutely defecated ourselves whenever we got in sniffing distance of the Aussie try line, didn't we? We got into the 20 and just instead of being cool, calm, and collected, which you've got to be from the first whistle against the Aussies, we decided to start trying to overplay, and it just needed to be sensible about things. And I've had a couple of people come back to me on my social media saying James Graham made a couple of good points about how every Aussie pass was sharp and 10 out of 10. Most of them were anyway. I think they probably overplayed a little bit, but were in the position to do so. They'd earned the right to do so. Um, and some of ours just weren't. Some of our passes, you've got your halfbacks taking it above your head. You've got it. I mean, there was one in Dom Young, God bless him, in the second half that I laughed out loud when he tried passing it and threw it straight into an Aussie player's
well,
face.
listen, when the Aussies were in that position on the pitch, that's out as far forward as they threw it as well.
Well, yeah, maybe Mr. Moore would have
Listen,
let that one
if there's a news flash, I don't care what team you pick, unless the Aussies like
have a have a
have a really,
terrible
really terrible day.
3 cent off. Yeah,
Yeah,
the HIA is all over the part. Yeah.
they're just better than us, and this is why I've probably got little interest in international rugby league. Let's just concentrate on our own competition and making it the best that possibly can be.
But I think, but you always say that, and I think you've got to. The only way that if there is a plan to grow the game, which sometimes with rugby league you never know if there's a plan to do anything, but if there is a plan to grow the game, you've got to improve the international game.
In that case, then it needs to be committed to playing this every 2 years.
Correct. Yeah.
Until Australia take it seriously, then
Yeah. These are all absolutely valid points. Yeah.
Jack Wellesby. We're talking from a Saints perspective. I thought Jack Wellesby today was incredibly poor. From a Saints perspective, I don't think you're going to have NRL teams knocking on the door anytime soon watching that.
No, I agree with that. I think ball in hand, he was closed down. Yeah, all right. I'll give people that who's saying, well, he's been closed down quite well. But when he did have opportunity, there was a pass over to Young in the first half that Could Young have been over on his wing? He wasn't. You've got to make the right call there. There's times where he's been caught with the ball. Defending wise, it, when in backing off when Crichton was coming through that gap, it was that is it's disheartening to see.
It's worrying.
Yeah, it is, and it's. I know he's not been helped by playing 1-6 and 13-6 coming back from his injury for saves, but you need to be on it straight away if you're playing against what are the all stars from the NRL.
The worry for
The
me is Kev. He hasn't turned it on in a Saints shirt for an awful long time, and he's took that form forward onto the international stage. I felt at times he was stood on Herbie Farnsworth's feet.
Yeah, he seemed to be on his toes quite a bit. So the ball that he was giving out to his centre was like just a little shovel ball. There was nothing to give Farnworth that early ball and let him kind of run at the Aussie line. He was build up in the. He was build in the build up to the game. Herbie Farnworth, this is as England's like X Factor star, and we just weren't in that position to give him the ball in good field position.
Yeah. Was the decision to play it at Wembley the right one?
Um, I've heard this answered, and I agree with whoever said this. I'd have played the first one at Headingley. I'd have played the first one at Headingley and made it absolutely horrible, and then moved on to your Everton and move on to Wembley. I'm all right with it being at Wembley, with them having a test at Wembley, but the first one I'd have made it absolutely horrible, needly, fans right on top of you in a stadium that holds, what is it, about 24,000 maybe, between 20 and 25, and make it horrible for them.
I get that, Kev, but the problem is then your worry is you're not going to sell out. You can't take the third test to Wembley
Yeah, fair enough, okay.
because you're probably not going to sell anything. I just think I've seen like we've sold the lower bowl out, like that's some sort of achievement. Well,
Yeah,
well, the conference playoff final sells out the lower bowl at Wembley each year. I just think this. I just think having the top tier pretty much empty. And listen, we're sat here on the couch doing this because we've not been bothered to
yeah,
go. Um, but that doesn't generate an atmosphere for me. If you want to play that in London, play it at Spurs
okay.
and fill
As it,
and have the ground absolutely full
yeah,
and roaring.
you say can't be bothered to go. My circumstances mean that I'm going to one test this time.
Yeah, I've got better things to be doing than spending my weekend travelling to London for a team that
I've
I'm
just
not
got
really that bothered about.
I've got other things that I'm doing rather than better things.
Yeah,
They are better things, to be fair, but it's a case of I am. I mean, well, just to let people in, I'm on holiday next week for a bit of next week, so I'm sorting stuff out before that. That's why this time turns out absolutely terrible time for me to do it. But I'm back in time.
I would much rather spend my Saturday morning watching my son's under nines football team and enjoying them.
Fair enough.
But we'll go to Everton next week just so we can claim our own seats, have a few beers.
You see, keep saying claim our own seats, claim your own seats. They're nothing to do with me. These
No, no,
seats.
no, no. I'm gonna assign you one of my seats,
Right. Okay. Thank you.
one of my four. You can mind our young Theo's seat for him.
Excellent. I'll take that.
Just no spilling any beer around there, please. I like the nice clean. Do you know what? If anybody watches any Everton games and they play the air raid siren, I would make England come out to the air raid siren next week. Do you know what I don't like either, by the way? Just while I'm having a bit of a moan, how the teams just walk out separately
Yeah, it should feel like an event where they come out side by side and
and the
line up.
crowd all roar together. Not like
Yeah.
we'll just wander out onto the pitch. Oh right, we're here, are we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or anyway,
Enough
yeah.
whinging. You
And do
do
you know
enough
what?
whinging about teams.
I've got no real issue with Sean Wayne and the team he's picked. I just think we're not good enough, and I don't blame the coach for that at all.
I think, but on saying that, I think he's got changes to make next week.
Yeah.
I think
I
he
was
has
impressed
got
I was
changes.
impressed by Jez Litton, by the way, when he came on.
Yeah, very much so. I think him and Daryl Clark are a good combination to have there, where you've got the experience and then the zip and the kicking game as well from Litton
It reminded me a
that you
bit
can
like
just step out.
it reminded me a bit like the tandem of like Cunningham and Roby or Cunningham and uh, Mickey Iron for a bit.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought Litton was one of our best out there. Um, I mean, you then start scrabbling about for people who did all right. I think. Um, I think you could have a look at the halves and say maybe do you have a look at Harry Smith next week for a
Well,
longer
that
kicking
was
game?
my next question. Will he be able to resist the urge to play Harry Smith next week?
Um, oh, I'm going to go with he won't change the halves.
I'm going to say he will because
Okay,
I think Harry Smith is a better positional kicker.
yeah. I suppose are Williams and Lewis a little bit too similar? I'm not saying they're at the same levels at the minute, but are they a little bit too similar? Whereas, and the kicking game was a little bit off. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I think Jack Wellsby's going to be looking over his shoulder um, for his shirt because a lot of that credit in the bank that players had has been spent today. And I think with the likes of AJ Brimson knocking about, who can play a couple of positions, um, there's a chance to try something different, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. Again, has he got the bottle too? If it's based on today's performance, I think Wellesby gets dropped.
Yeah. Well, if it's a one off thing that you go right, game one you weren't good enough, you need to sit down for a week and show me what you can do in training, and let's see how your attitude is when you are dropped, and see how you kind of take things. And yeah, I'd have no problem with that from a Saints point of view. I've absolutely no problem with Jack Wellsby being dropped next week because I just don't think he's had anywhere near a good enough game to retain his shirt.
Lastly, from a Saints perspective, I thought Alex Walmsley looked good coming off the bench as well.
Yeah, and I mean, 35 is he now? That is probably a role that he needs to kind of start being used in, where you've got that wrecking ball of doing like 15, 20 minutes first half, having a 10, 15-minute break, coming on doing 5, 10 minutes in the second. And then if you need him at the end of the game to try and bring him on, you can do, and you're spelling him well rather than relying on him all the time for taking your first sets of carries in for the first 20 minutes. You need to make sure that you're rotating your props a little bit better. Obviously, that I think from a Saints point of view means I don't think you can start with Delaney and Lees because they're too similar. And I think you need another big lad. And that's where Noah needs to obviously step up or another.
Absolutely. Right, shall we move on?
Yeah.
We have season tickets, Kevin. Finally,
Yes.
memberships, as they want to call them these days. It's
Yes.
finally worked out that the only way we're possibly going to be able to sell season tickets is just like focus on the young future of the club.
And you know what? That's probably the right thing to do, isn't it?
It'll just upset people if those five aren't playing the majority of games next season now.
Yeah, it probably will, to be fair. I mean, you know full well that two of them are going to be involved in most of the games. You'd hazard a guess that the other three, so I'm talking about obviously Harry Robertson and George Delaney, but you'd hazard the other three have got to be, got to be in the thought process of Paul Rowley. Owen Dagnall, absolute wow of a impact when he came in. Noah Stevens just needs to build on what he's doing. He's got the fans behind him, as has George Whitby. George Whitby just needs to make sure he's finding his voice, finding his feet, and getting hold of that number 7 shirt and showing why he can't be dropped.
Is that it, Kev?
Yeah.
Um, membership prices. Pleasantly surprised to only see them going up a small amount. Bronze renewals, 298 up from 289. Silvers were 339 up from 329, and gold renewals £384 up from 369. Between about 2 and 3% rate of inflation, and given a lot of the club's running costs in terms of purely running the stadium and everything else has gone up. Um, Fair enough.
Yeah, I think if they'd have gone up an absolutely obscene amount, probably not even that much, but that little bit too much, it gives people another reason not to renew.
Listen,
So they probably got that right.
yeah. At the end of the day, do you know what? As much as everybody across the way, like across the board, would love us to freeze season ticket prices or reduce them, at the end of the day, we're a club in debt, like every other rugby league club, pretty much.
Yeah,
We, if you want the club to be self-sustaining, which is what it needs to become, you've this is your probably apart from your sponsorships, your main revenue earner.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, fair enough. I actually expected a bigger rise than that.
yeah.
Um,
They've done the right thing. They've
yeah,
done the right
I
thing.
think they've pitched it right.
Yeah, if you put it up too much, as I say, it just you've got to get it right to put it up enough without fans then going, here's a reason why I'm not going to. You can have all your other reasons in the world for not renewing. So you could say, well, I'm waiting to see who we sign, and people might have been waiting on the head coach, and all reasons like that.
I don't like
But
the new beer.
yeah, I don't like the new beer, whatever. But the price is a big thing, and the fact that it's only gone up a little bit, yeah, they've probably got that right. Fair play. And the other thing they've got right is all this marketing round, all these graphics.
Yes. Another visual cue, including obviously Steve Prescott, Tommy Martin, and Anthony Sullivan on that photo in the 96 kit. Combined with the graphics, I think we can safely say there must be a 96 inspired kit coming. And you'll see in the bottom left corner of the screen there the Saints logo. Did we drop that for a while? Did it ever go away? And we remember that horrible naff Saints italic font that was on last season's
Was
away kit, which was
on
horrible.
um, pass, no idea.
But it's back anyway. If it didn't go away, well, it's always been there. But if it went away, it's now back, and I like that. It feels like it feels proper Saints.
That I still wouldn't want to see that like in that away jersey
Oh no,
as a design, but that feels like Saints, doesn't it?
yeah,
That's feels like the Saints logo that we kind of grew up with. I'm going to say
yeah. Listen, all this positivity about off the field stuff. I'm gonna have to go and see a nurse.
it's all right. We were whinging about England, so that's it's
Yeah.
definitely balanced.
Right. First of the contract renewals, Jake Wingfield signed on for potentially three. Is it 3 more years? But
Yeah,
the following two are subject to appearances, which is fair enough. I think he was unlucky with the injury he got last season. It wasn't linked to anything that he had done previously, was it?
no.
But we say this every single year. The lad has to stay fit because when he is, he's a good player.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's a great player. I think there's always been promise there with him. I think because he is so what's the word I'm after? I'm going to just say flexible. He can play lots of different positions. Versatile. That's the word I'm after. And he can play lots of different positions in the pack. I think he's someone who, if he can stay fit, which isn't any fault of his own, but if he can stay fit, that is a good contract extension. And it's good for him that he's got 3 years. I think it's quite sensible. Again, we're being positive here. I think it's quite sensible from Saints giving him the 1 year extension, but saying we want you about for three. We want you to trigger these extensions and make sure you are signed on for 3 years because we see what you can do. I think we still need a 13 in the club. I think we still need a 13 through the door. So we had 6 months to sort that. But he could be that. and I'm saying this with the utmost respect, he could be that kind of second fiddle as a 13, as a second row. I hate saying as a 9, but if he needs to be off the bench, or
We're gonna clip that. That's a TikTok one.
me just going, oh, as a 9,
Go
or
on then. I give
even,
in.
even even if he has to do a little stint at prop, um, like he can do it, but we need a 13 in through the door because, unfortunately, take the injury record of the past couple of years, you're not getting full years out of him. So that needs to be kind of changed. And I was interested to see how fans took this and had a look at social media. There was some absolutely moronic shouts. Oh, how about you can play more than 2 games in a row before getting injured? And you're like, it's not his fault. That's just whoever sits there and types that out is an absolute moron. Then there were other people who were very um,
Don't make
measured
us
in what
start
they
naming
said.
names.
Who were measured in what they said. And talking about the likes of Johnny Lomax, who struggled with injuries early on in his career. And then he found a way of being fit more often than not. And hopefully Jake Wingfield can follow that route. And he doesn't follow a route more like someone who is still at the club, Gary Wheeler. And just he's injured more than he can play.
I'm genuinely shocked that Jake Wingfield's still only 24.
Yeah, 24, yeah.
It looks like he's had hard paper round. I didn't say that.
Listen, you can tell him that. In fact, I'd like it. You could say it. Say that in front of him and his dad, because his dad looks like he could still play at 13 for
His
Saints.
dad looks younger. Do you know what? He made 17 appearances last season, which
Yeah,
and without that, it was his knee injury from Wakefield, wasn't it?
yeah,
Where without that, he probably plays 25 games.
yeah. He definitely gets over 20, doesn't he? Because he was in and around the squad, and I think that's the thing with Wingy. Once he gets that little run of games and finds sharpness and finds his form, it's very difficult to leave him out because he's a solid player. He's almost one of them flashy, no nonsense ones. And yet, I think Saints could have done with going out and buying a big strike second row. Or if we're not going to do that, we need a big strike 13. We need to make that happen. But you also need these lads who'll just get in, do the job, do the work, and then come away and aren't your big names because that's how you build a squad in rugby league, um, under the salary cap, and you've got to have that nice balance of the lads who've come through and your big names who you might have to bring in from somewhere else.
Yeah, we were talking to a friend during the week, and we were looking at the current makeup of the squad. We've currently only got 6 players between the age of 23 and 28 in the squad, so you
Yeah,
can't afford to be losing that experience in that age group, which is where Jake Wingfield sits. And do you know what? There was rumours earlier in the year that he could potentially be getting looked at by Lee. He's the sort of player who'd have gone to Lee, done a couple of years, and found himself in the England squad.
yeah, that's probably just how it would have worked. It's just how it is, isn't it? That it wouldn't have surprised me one bit.
So we'll keep him. We'll
Yeah,
also keep Leon Cowen, who's signed another 12-month extension. Big year for Leon coming up. Well, I know we'll talk player profiles, previews in the new year, but he's got to get a shout next season, hasn't he?
yeah. I think again, looking at social media and people saying, "Oh, why has he not been given 2? Why has he not been given 3 years?" Let's remember we've seen him in a Saints shirt, in a Saints first team shirt twice. Once for a couple of minutes, and once, well, you weren't there at that game, where he was unlucky not to be man of the match when he played, because I thought he went really, really well. You can't put all your eggs in that one performance, though, and you've got to see how he does next year and how he is seen by the new management. Really, I know this will probably have been done beforehand, but if it's been signed and sorted well beforehand, well before it's been announced, you wouldn't have much to go on to say he deserves 2 years, 3 years as a first team player. Now you're looking at him and going, he's possibly one that you have to look at very early next year and go, we need to tie him down. He needs a chance. he needs to be given a chance because again, he's one of them who seemingly just loves getting involved. Again, I'm made up that he's got another year. He seems like one of them lads who's hardworking, who's diligent, who doesn't cause any issues. Has come into rugby a bit of a different way as well, not come through the traditional full academy route. Um, so yeah, let's hope we see him in a Saints shirt next year.
And lastly, another extension, an extra 12 months for Daryl Clark, which will keep him at the club until at least the end of the 2027 season. Pretty much no-brainer because he's got at least a couple of years left in him.
Yeah, I think again it's the extension because he was on a deal until the end of 2026 anyway, so it's just the additional year on that. We will probably be having a look at the lads who have come up through the academy in the past like year or two and letting them learn off Daryl Clark. You need that experience around your squad. I still think we probably need a nine in the club. My issues with the current options past Daryl Clark, and I'll include Moses and buying this, is none of them have really gone out there and took their chance and made it impossible for him to be dropped out of the 17. So the likes of Jake Burns and I mean Moses was slow as anything from dummy half. You
You're
need
right.
to, you
You're right,
need
Kev.
that.
We haven't got an option where you think, right, we have to have that backup hooker on the bench.
Yeah,
It's almost like, well, do
and
you know what? You may as well give Daryl 65 minutes and just let someone fill in there for 10 to give him a breather.
yeah, you Jake Wingfield.
Yeah. I'm just looking up as I watch Daryl Clark cross the line on BBC News.
Yeah, it's and not only that, have we got an option that you think if Daryl Clark pulls up injured for the first month of the season and you go
Be
right,
worried.
who's our starting nine?
Jake
Have
Wingfield.
you got yeah, well, have you got a nine there that you think yeah, he's
No.
shown me enough that he can do 60, 70 minutes when needed? And at the minute, I don't think we have. Jake Burns just hasn't pushed himself into that reckoning. Um, so I think we need one. I think we need another one in the club, even if that's a 7/9. But someone who's a bit quicker than Moses out of dummy half.
We're done.
Yes, thankfully.
I'm sure we'll be back during the week because Saints will drip feed us another four players we already know we're keeping, which we'll have to talk about. But it's good for the
Well, we
views,
will,
Kevin.
it is, but it will be in the week. It'll be after, like towards the end of the week because I'm going away and I'm not filming from being
Wherever you're
away.
going.
I'm not telling you.
Well, so enjoy the rest of your week due to Kev's lack of commitment. Uh, yeah, and we'll catch
Deal
you
with it.
very, very soon for another episode of Redvee TV. We don't know where, we don't know when, but I'm sure we'll meet again. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Catch you soon.